Imagine waking up one morning in a quiet mountain village, only to find that the entire place has vanished without a trace by dawn. No sign of the houses, the roads, or the people who once called it home. It's as if the village dissolved into thin air, leaving behind nothing but an empty field where it stood the night before. This is the mystery of the Japanese village that vanishes before sunrise, a story so strange and surreal. It feels like something out of a dream, or perhaps a ghost tale passed down through generations. But what if I told you this isn't just a legend? What if this haunting occurrence is real, yet shrouded in silence and shadow? Before we dive deeper, it's important to clarify that this story is entirely fictional, a carefully crafted mystery designed to intrigue and captivate. It's a work of imagination, a puzzle without answers, meant to take you on a journey beyond what's usual or expected. Now, let's set the stage. It's a name that, in hindsight, seems eerily fitting. The village itself is small, nestled between steep forested slopes and fog-shrouded peaks, where the sun's first light struggles to break through. Life in Kajihara follows the rhythm of ancient tradition, slow and measured. Time here feels like it folds back on itself, and the villagers live in close harmony with the nature around them. What makes Kajihara unique, though, isn't just its isolation or timelessness. It's what happens there every so often, a phenomenon so baffling that it defies all reason and explanation. On certain nights, just before the first light of dawn, the entire village disappears. It's gone without a sound, without a sign. When morning comes, those who come searching find nothing but empty land where homes, shops, and temples once stood. No rubble, no footprints, no proof that anyone had ever lived there. Locals dread these nights, as the village's disappearance isn't predictable. It might vanish once every few years or skip a decade entirely. There's no telling. Stories among the villagers are whispered cautiously, as if speaking about it too loudly might bring the darkness closer. Outside the village, people shrug these tales off as superstition or folklore, something to thrill tourists or to explain strange gaps in maps. But those who have experienced it firsthand know the truth is far more unsettling. The mystery only deepens when you consider what happens to the villagers themselves. Some disappear along with the village, as if swallowed by an invisible force. Others are found wandering at dawn, lost and confused but alive, with no memory of where they've been or how they escaped. Attempts to study the phenomenon have failed spectacularly. Scientists, journalists, and even paranormal investigators sent to Kajihara report strange equipment malfunctions, distorted recordings, and an oppressive silence that seems to smother any sign of normal life. Delving into the history of Kajihara uncovers a rich tapestry of folklore and myth. Ancient scrolls recovered from nearby temples mention the Twilight Veil, a mysterious state where the boundary between our world and another becomes tenuous. Some say the village was cursed centuries ago, a punishment for a forgotten transgression that still echoes through time. Others believe that Kajihara sits at a crossroads, not just geographically, but spiritually, where the past and future overlap in a fleeting moment before sunrise. What exactly happens during these vanishings? No one really knows. Some theorize that the village slips into another dimension, temporarily existing out of phase with our reality. Others suspect a more sinister force, something beyond human understanding, manipulating space and time for reasons unknown. The villagers' fragmented memories and the absence of physical evidence only add to the enigma. In part 2 of this story, we'll explore the accounts of those who have lived through these disappearances, their attempts to uncover answers, and the chilling clues they've found. But for now, we're left with a village that defies explanation, a place caught between light and shadow, presence and absence, reality and mystery. Kajihara remains a puzzle wrapped in darkness, waiting for the dawn to reveal what it hides, or to simply vanish once more. In the heart of Kajihara's mystery lie the stories of the villagers themselves, those rare souls who have somehow endured the inexplicable vanishings, carrying with them fragments of experience that tease at a truth no one can quite grasp. Take, for example, the account of Haruto, a young farmer who once found himself alone amidst the emptiness left after a disappearance. He remembers waking up confused in a field that should have been his home's front yard, but there was no sign of the wooden house, the garden, or even the path leading to the village shrine. The sky was beginning to brighten with dawn, but the silence was crushing. No birdsong, no rustling leaves, just an eerie stillness. For an agonizing moment, Haruto believed the village had been erased from existence, or that it had been plucked out of reality itself. Haruto wandered toward the nearby woods, desperate for any sign of life or civilization. Instead, he found himself surrounded by shadows that seemed thicker than mere absence of light. Some say these shadows are remnants of the village's vanished moments, thin echoes frozen between worlds. Slowly, over the course of hours, Haruto's memories of what happened during the darkness faded like mist, replaced by an overwhelming sense of being watched. Yet no one was there. When he was finally found by searchers days later, he couldn't explain how he survived or where the others had gone. His story became one of many that haunted Kajihara's survivors. Then there's Reiko, an elderly woman who claims she remembers the village not only disappearing, but reappearing cyclically, like a flickering candle flame dimming and brightening in a perpetual dance. She described the nights leading up to the vanishings as filled with strange sounds. Whispers carried on the wind in a language no one understood, flickers of distant lights that vanished when looked at directly, and a persistent feeling that time itself was bending and twisting. Reiko believes the disappearances aren't random events, but rather symptoms of a deeper pull, a force tethering Kajihara to an unseen realm or dimension. She calls it a liminal space, a threshold where the village exists halfway between existence and oblivion. Scientists and investigators who tried to explain these vanishings encountered unnerving obstacles. Instruments would fail without cause, compasses spun wildly, and electronic devices lost power inexplicably. Attempts to set cameras and sensors often resulted in footage distorted beyond recognition, full of static or blurred images that suggested something was interfering with the very fabric of recorded reality. These anomalies have only fueled theories ranging from interdimensional travel and temporal loops to more sinister hypotheses. Perhaps Kajihara is trapped in a curse, or governed by entities whose motives are indecipherable to human minds. Chronologically, the disappearances occur under peculiar patterns. While irregular, some researchers noted subtle environmental changes on the nights the village vanished. Temperature drops of several degrees, unnatural shifts in humidity, and the appearance of dense fog pockets that swirl in ways unlike natural weather. Villagers speak of a veil lifting or lowering, signaling that the moment of disappearance is near. This veil, according to lore and piecemeal testimonies, acts like a threshold, a barrier between the known world and a shadowy dimension that Kajihara slips into and out of like a ghost walking through walls. Historical documents compiled from local monasteries and oral traditions paint a picture of Kajihara as a place caught in cycles far older than the current generation can remember. Some scrolls hint at ancient rituals performed to keep the village tethered to this world, while others mention the breaking of a sacred pact, possibly the event that doomed Kajihara to its ghostly fate. Yet, these records are vague, often contradictory, and deliberately obscured, as if the villagers themselves understood that too much knowledge could be dangerous. What makes the story even more haunting is the aftermath. When Kajihara reappears, its inhabitants return, but many carry the scars of their absence, confused, weakened, and wary. Some speak of worlds beyond our own, places lined with shifting shadows and strange landscapes. Others mention vague encounters with figures who are neither human nor animal, guards or gatekeepers of the in-between. Yet when questioned, their memories fragment, fading like dreams they grasp at while waking. And so, Kajihara dwells in that twilight space between reality and disappearance, perched on the edge of dawn's fragile light. Each vanishing deepens the mystery, inviting more questions than answers. Who or what controls this phenomenon? Why does the village vanish at all? And what fate awaits those who vanish with it? As we continue, we will hear directly from those brave enough to confront the unknown, as well as explore the clues that could one day unravel the secret behind the village that vanishes before sunrise. As we peel back the layers of Kajahara's mystery, it becomes clear that no single explanation can fully capture the eerie disappearing act of this village. On one hand, the scientific perspective struggles to fit what's happening into known rules of physics or natural phenomena. Temperature drops, malfunctioning equipment, electromagnetic disturbances. These hint at something beyond typical environmental anomalies, yet offer no concrete answers. From a scientist's view, Kajahara brushes up against the edges of our understanding without ever crossing a clear threshold into the supernatural. On the other hand, local beliefs and folklore insist the village is caught in a liminal state, a place where the boundaries between worlds dissolve. This idea of a veil or threshold isn't unique to Kajahara. It's a common theme across many cultures, representing moments where reality slips and we glimpse something larger, something unexplainable. Whether it's a curse, a spiritual tether, or a dimensional fold, this perspective embraces uncertainty and accepts mystery as part of existence. There's also the more unsettling theory, one that resists easy dismissal, that Kajahara may be under the influence of forces completely alien to human comprehension. The villagers' distorted memories, encounters with shadowy figures, the cyclical nature of the disappearances, these suggest a reality governed by entities or energies operating on a scale or purpose that we can't imagine. Is the village trapped in a time loop? Or perhaps it's a kind of farming ground for these entities, a fragment of earth used for reasons unknown and invisible? Why does the village vanish only before sunrise? This timing might hold a clue. Dawn symbolizes transition, night shifting into day, darkness giving way to light. It's the perfect metaphor for a space between realities, a brief window when the veil thins. Perhaps Kajahara's vanishings exploit this natural liminality, slipping just out of reach before the world fully wakes. If that's true, then Kajahara acts like a cosmic echo, disappearing not by accident, but as part of a cycle deeply embedded in the rhythm of the universe itself.